mean, when you think about the people who are going to relate to this movie, who you made it for, who are they?
Well, I feel like I try to, whenever I make stuff, I try to kind of appeal to what I was like as a film fan when I was a teenager. And, I guess when all of the films that I've made, I've tried to make a film that I would want to see. And even with Space, the TV show that I did with Simon Pegg, it's definitely that vein, is you try and make something for yourself and hope that it will appeal to people. And so I think in this way it's like another thing with
But it's smart people.
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting just getting responses, because even though that was the first public screening last night, we had 5 test screenings, and those are always fascinating, even though they're absolutely terrifying, because people are watching the film completely cold, and they don't even know who's in it, and for the most part, people, and the test screenings got better and better with each one that we did.
What were you doing? Were you refining the comedy moments, the timing?
Yeah, and we sort of I think the first time we showed it was 126 minutes long, and then it came down to 112. And then even with that, it's still there's that balancing act of, you could make it shorter, but then also for fans, it's there's 6 books that you're covering, so I feel like if the Karate Kid is allowed to be 2 hours 20 minutes long, I think 112 minutes is okay. It's okay. But it is tricky. It's definitely tricky, and
well, it's good to be. You're based on something that exists, but you have to make it so that it will play beyond the core. I'm not familiar with those comic books, and it worked. It worked for me. But I also thought it was interesting that you didn't make it, and maybe you're going to argue with me here, but you didn't go for romance. There's a lot of relationship comedy in it, but it's not a romantic movie.
Well, I think what's interesting about it to me, and I think this is the same in the books, but is that the story isn't completely black and white, in terms of it's not really a boy meets girl or boy gets girl film, because what I think is interesting about the story is that what Scott Pilgrim does to Knives Chow at the start of the film is he treats her kind of like they are dating, but for him it's not a real relationship. It is for her. She's totally in love with him, but he is dating her because, as he says in the film, it's nice and it's simple, and he's getting out of a bad breakup and he just wants to go out with a nice girl, but he's not in love with her. He likes her, but he's not in love with her. And then Ramona Flowers, who comes into his life, and if I can quote Inception, but it's basically planted in his brain that she is his dream girl. He believes her to be the love of his life. And then she treats him in a similar way to how he treated Knives. So her attitude throughout the whole film is that she's escaping from the States to get away from 7 doses of bad blood, and that what she wants is something, as she says, nice and simple, and Scott Pilgrim is that nice guy. And then what I liked about the story is that then it's the path of dealing with somebody's baggage. Is Scott Pilgrim adult enough to deal with the fact that she's had 7 relationships and with people who are more kind of who are perfect physical specimens or cooler than him or better musicians, or even a lesbian relationship? And is he he's a kind of a man-child? Can he kind of deal with all that baggage, and is he willing to kind of take the leap and be really serious about her? So I think what it eventually, hopefully, kind of climaxes with is that not everything is black and white, and it's really about a second chance at the end,
Cool.
So I like that aspect in terms of it isn't, and also one of the aspects of it is that he is, potentially on a path to the dark side himself.
Yes.
That if he gets dumped by Ramona, does he become an evil ex too?
Yes. Oh, exactly. All right. So what are you up to next?
I am going to collapse dead at the end of this press tour.
Yeah. Well, and Them is not the remake of the Ants movie.
No. I don't know what.
I thought he's obsessed with ants. He's doing the Ant-Man and Them, or is that still true?
The Them thing was, I don't know quite what's happening with that one, but that was actually an adaptation of John Ronson's non-fiction book.
As I could see, yes.
Which I was writing with Mike White. I can't do more. I'm a terrible multitasker, and so it's funny, sort of people ask me, say, what's happening with Ant-Man? And I was thinking, Well, kind of the same thing that was happening 2 years ago. I basically, like, when I started working on Scott Pilgrim, I've been working on this for 6 years, on and off, and then 2 years solidly since July 2008.
And you were doing screenplay assignments like Tintin. In there.
Well, just prior to that, basically, like July 2008, it was Scott Pilgrim. But just prior to that, I was writing Scott Pilgrim. I did a draft of Tintin and also Ant-Man as well. So when I come, back to, and it was a shame. I was basically not able to be on the Tintin set at all because I was making. So I actually missed the chance to see any of that in action, like completely. So I wonder, like after this press tour, just collapse dead for a little bit, and then just start. I really enjoy writing, and I'm basically gonna spend the rest of the year finishing up my, things that I kind of started, which is like Ant-Man and another script with Simon Pegg, and then also like a solo project or something that's like completely different again. And with like going further into the musicals route actually. So yeah.
Good. I want to see you do that.
I'd like to. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I like one of the real passions of doing this film was the music. Actually, it was amazing to do.